again. My name is Kathleen Grimes, and I'm the regional manager with White's Residential and Family Services. We're a Christian foster care agency and residential facility. We've been in Indiana for 170 years. And our mission is to transform the lives of children and families through Christ. And so that's kind of a big difference than a lot of the other private foster care agencies in and around Indiana. So I just am going to share a little bit about what is happening in the state of Indiana with foster care, what we're doing. I'm also kind of probably going to break your heart a little bit because it's kind of sad what's happening. So glad you have like Chick-fil-A and stomach, and Chip set us up for like success, and I might bring us down, but then everyone else is going to like bring us back up. So, but I'm going to do some real talk about what's happening in the state, and but to start off, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story and what got me involved in foster care. So growing up, my aunt was a foster parent when I was a little kid, and so at every holiday, every one of my birthdays growing up, there was a foster kid there, or several foster kids there. And so that just grew empathy in my heart for foster kids and what they were going through as a child. And then when I was a teenager, I was emotionally and sexually abused by a boyfriend of mine and didn't have adults stand up and protect me like they should have. They weren't aware of the signs. They weren't aware of the depression that I was facing. They weren't aware of the suicidal ideation, the suicidal threats, and even the potential pending attempts that were coming. And so, luckily enough, I had a friend that I said I had a plan. And that friend went to some adults, and she was able to open their eyes to what was actually going to happen. And so adults finally stepped up and got me some therapy, and I became an advocate for myself and for my needs, and started learning to protect myself from situations, and saw that I don't want teenagers to go through what I went through, where there wasn't adults aware of what was happening, there wasn't adults like with eyes opening, looking for issues. And so I was like, I need to do something about this. And that led me into social work. And after social work, graduating with my degree from Western Kentucky University, I then moved to Indianapolis. Was a real eager social worker. Moved here for a job that was promising me $10 an hour for 10 hours a week. I moved here by myself. Just gonna make it. I luckily knew one person in Indy and slept on her couch for a little bit, and then quickly moved up in the company into a salary position. And I've been working in foster care for 9 years now. Done a lot of different things, from visitations with birth families, to case management work with kids in foster care, to supervisor. I was a development director for my previous company I was with, which means I would license and recruit and train foster parents and buy the buildings and hire the staff. And then I was with that company for 6.5 years. And it was a great learning experience for me. It was also real sad. I realized that that company was doing things for the bottom line and not doing things for the kids that they were caring for. I experienced the death of 3 children when I was at that company, and it was just time for me to move on. And because I didn't want to be there when I knew stuff was going to hit the fan. God opened the doors for me to be at White's, and I've been here almost 3 years, and it's just been a breath of fresh air where I can speak the name of Jesus. I can pray with my foster families, lead devotions for my foster families, pray with them when heartache happens, which it does. And so it's just, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. I think I say that. Awesome. So I'm so excited to be with the company I'm at now. And so just to share my story, there is a need in the state of Indiana. Those for other states. So Probably don't know, the state of Indiana is top 5, one of the top 5s in the nation for kids in foster care. And so that is not good because we are not the most populated or close to the most populated state. So I'm going to flip the screen to some of the statistics that we're facing in the state of Indiana. So we have over 13,000 kids in out-of-home care, which just means that those kids are not with their parents. They've been removed for some reason. They're either in a foster home, a residential facility, acute care, or with a relative. And so they're away from their parents. Of those, 5,000 are placed out of their home county. So I like to point that number out because, as several people have touched on, kids are our future. Whitney Houston sang it best. I will not sing it because I'm not her. But, so those are 5,000 plus children that are not in your home communities. They're being displaced, put in different communities, different schools. It affects their ability to play sports. It affects their ability to build friendships, to build attachments, to actually learn. They don't eat at the same restaurants. They don't go to the same malls. And so that is just a detriment to them, and it's a detriment to our future. If our kids are leaving our counties, leaving our neighborhoods, they're less likely to come back and to build up your communities. The next statistics is an average for the state at this point, and these statistics are of January of 2020, so they're super current statistics. 604 days is the average time a kid is in foster care. I like to put that number out there. For my foster families that I train, and tell them that's 604 days, obviously longer than a year, that you have the chance to show a kid what a loving home looks like. You get to show what Jesus is. You get to show attachment, bonding, success, empathy, all those things that they need to be successful. And so if you're a foster parent, you can show a kid that you have potentially that long, if not longer. So over 1,000 kids are not placed with their siblings. And if you think about your siblings, you have them. So that's our greatest need in the state of Indiana is homes that will take siblings together. I have a lot of siblings that are not placed. I think that number is low. That's what the state of Indiana says is the number, but I think it's actually much higher than that. But from my experience, but that's the number they say. Then there were over 9,000 children in Indiana waiting for a pre-adopted family, or waiting for an adopted family. Now, some of those kids are actually in a pre-adopted family. They're just not adopted yet because of systematic processes and procedures that happen with courts. But there's a large number of kids that do not have permanency. They do not know where they're going to be in 5 years. They don't know what's going to happen because they don't have permanency. They don't have a pre-adopted family. This is one that I think can stand out to you. Substantiated cases of abuse and neglect. So just in January of this year, there were over 2,000 substantiated cases. So those are cases that DCS said did happen. Those are not cases that the Department of Child Services did in 1 month. So just think about that. And those are the ones that they saw, that were reported, and that they were able to somewhat gain enough knowledge to prove in a court that was happened. This last statistic is the statistic for the Child Abuse Hotline for 2019. So it's a year, but that's how many calls were made to the Department of Child Services Child Abuse Hotline. In the state of Indiana, every single person, you're a person, you have a heartbeat, you're a mandated reporter. You suspect child abuse and neglect, you need to call it in, and you need to be one of these numbers. That number is super easy, 1-800-800-5556. So again, that's 1-800-800-5556. And if you think abuse and neglect is happening, you call it in. And obviously we're doing that, but probably not doing good enough. So just think about that. So these are all numbers. And numbers are sometimes really impactful. but also their numbers, and sometimes they're not easy to actually translate to those who are actual children. So I'm going to do an activity that I do with my foster parents. This is Buddy Love. So he's just a little guy, right? So Buddy Love is, we're going to say he's 9, right? So Buddy Love is 9. He might not look 9 because he was probably neglected, malnourished, or didn't have food, or didn't have the ability to exercise. He's probably not emotionally 9 either because he wasn't taught coping skills, he wasn't taught empathy, he doesn't have any of those developmental skills, those social skills. He's probably really far behind. And so this is Buddy. He is potentially a kid that is going to be one of these substantiated cases. And so I'm going to just kind of tell you a little bit about his life, if I can find the right paper here to tell me. So Buddy was left in a playpen and rejected during his infancy. So this is what happens to Buddy when that happens. Buddy was physically abused and shamed when he hit his terrible tubes. Another piece of him torn. Buddy has been in 5 different schools at the age of 9. He has been homeless at times because of his family being evicted. I'm going to lose pieces of him, so he's going to fall on the ground. Sorry. He was placed in foster care at the age of 8 when his family faced another financial crisis. He was reunified with his family after being in foster care for 6 months. It's another transition. Even though he's reunified, it's another transition for him. And he continues to face emotional abuse and neglect by his parents, even though he's back home. So this is Buddy. These are the kids that are in foster care. They're like this. They're broken. They're beaten down because they don't have adults standing there and protecting them. This is how I felt when I was a teenager, like this, right? So this is what, when I am asking people to be foster parents, I'm asking them, here, take this child and put him back together, please. And how do you do that? How do you do that to a child? How are we going to do that? And so we provided as much training as we can. At White's, we provide 24/7 support. I have staff that's on call all the time. I'm on call 24/7, 365 days a year for my staff who's on call for my foster parents. And we have monthly trainings where we train about all different things, whether it's reactive attachment disorder, ADHD, how to bond through play, how to do all these different things, right? So we try to help foster parents help kids like Buddy. And so I hope that exercise, even though sad, like I said, I warned you, it's going to kind of bring you down, is what's happening in the state of Indiana. And that Buddy is one of these kids. He's one of these numbers. But there are success stories. And so Whites, I can say, have lots of success stories from kids that have been reunified with their parents, and the parents have asked my foster parents to be their godparents of the foster kid in their home, where my foster parents have been able to baptize the biological parents. My foster parents have been able to baptize the foster kids, and just great success stories. We're going to watch a video of an adoption of a family that just adopted kids recently. I believe it was in just the end of last year. So we're going to watch that.
Under the surface,
How do you guys feel about it?
you don't know what you'll find until it's your time. No second chances, but all we can do is try. I made up my mind. I can't see you, but I hear your call, baby. Hold on now. We're going home. If we make it or we don't, we won't be alone. When I see your light shine, I'll go home. If you're waiting all your life, you won't ever go. When I see your light shine, I'll go home. When I see your light shine, I'll go home. When I see your light shine. Some things are simple and hard to ignore, they say. The truth is like that. We're getting colder, so far from the shore, I say. The world is like that. I can't see you, but I hear your call. Baby, hold on now. We're going home. If we make it or we don't, we won't be alone. When I see your light shine, I'll go home. If you're waiting all your life, you won't ever go. When I see your light shine, I'll go home. When I see your light shine, I'll go home. When I see your light shine, there's a place that I want to run. Where you, darling, there's a place that I want to run. Where you, we're going home. If we make it or we don't, we won't be alone. When I see your light shine, I know I'm home. If you're waiting all your life, you won't ever go. When I see your light shine, I'm home. When I see your light shine, I'm home. When I see your light shine, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. When I see your light shine.
Today is June 26, 2019, and today we adopted the boys, and they were in the system for 1,199 days.
So hopefully that at least shows you that there are success stories. But as you heard at the end, right, those was 1,199 days that those boys were in foster care. But as you could tell from the video also, it wasn't just the foster parents. I know not everyone is going to be a foster parent. I'm not naive enough to think that. But as you could tell, there was a whole village of people around that foster family to help them with that, with those boys. So that moves into what are other ways that you can help change the world through foster care besides being a foster parent. So you can mentor a foster youth. So find a local foster family that's somewhere around you. I'm sure there's one somewhere around you. And mentor the child in their home. They need breaks. The kid needs breaks. The kid needs someone who will take him to Chick-fil-A. Take him somewhere, whether that's play basketball, whether that's take them to the library and help them with their homework, something. Then there are, what are the other ones? provide a meal for a foster family. So families have newborns, right? They're like, let's have a meal train. Foster families get a brand new child, not a newborn typically, dropped off at the doorstep. Those 10-year-old boys eat more than newborns. So potentially that is an option for you. Gas gift cards. Cool. Foster parents have a lot of responsibilities. They have to transport kids to and from all kinds of appointments. In the first 30 days, we expect foster families to take kids to the doctor, take them to the dentist. They usually at least have numerous visits. I'm going to say like 4 or 5 with their biological parents. There'll be court hearings. They usually have to take them to school because, as I said, they're going to different schools. It takes a while to get that bus route fixed out. So gas gift cards are a huge way. Make a journey bag. So when kids come into foster care, they typically don't come with anything. A lot of times they come with clothes on their back. And if they are being removed from a home that manufactures drugs, then they don't even get the clothes on their backs. So they come with nothing. And so people will provide little hygiene kits, a little teddy bear, a blanket, just little fidget spinners, things for when the kid walks into that door, they have something that they can identify as their own, because everything that they have known has been removed from them. Walmart gift cards, a lot of times we do placements after hours, whether that's midnight, 3 a.m., and so what usually happens is kids come with nothing. One parent in our 2-parent homes, one parent will stay home. The other parent runs to Walmart to get some pajamas, a toothbrush, something for those kids. So those can be really helpful. Becoming a respite home. So that just means when a foster family needs a break and they don't know what to do because they're overwhelmed, the kid's overwhelmed. And so you can become a respite home. And then there are so many other ways. I won't be here for 10 hours. So there's just a lot of ways to get involved in foster care. I'll be out there in the back, so I'm happy to talk to you all about more things that there are to do. But that is all that I have, Melanie. So.